Lunch and Learn. I am Dan Scott, the voice of the Paladins, and we are very, very happy to have you with us for another Tuesday get together. And we're very excited to have our special guest, Jackie Carson, with us today, the women's basketball coach. And in the middle of visiting with Jackie, we're going to visit with another Furman women's basketball legend, Rusha Brown. There are 3 jerseys retired at Furman, hanging in the rafters at Timmons Arena for women's basketball. 2 of them are going to be represented on this Zoom call here today. How fantastic is that? Before we begin, just want to remind you about the upcoming schedule for the month of October. Next week, I have double confirmed it. I talked to him this morning. Dakota Dozier, former Paladin offensive lineman and a starting guard for the Minnesota Vikings, will be with us. And his special guest, or our special guest, I haven't told him this yet. I'm going to kind of surprise him, but Marcus McMorris, his teammate here at Furman, and of course our sideline reporter for the football games, is going to be the special guest to give us a little insight on Dakota. The following Tuesday, Robert and Rita Gary will be our featured guests, followed by Andrew Burr and then Doug Allison. So we've got an exciting month of October lined up for you. We are excited, as I mentioned, and honored to have Jackie Carson as our guest here today. Not only is she a Furman Hall of Famer and has her jersey retired, 11 years now the head coach, but she heads up the Carson clan, which we have talked about quite a bit since all this coronavirus started. Jackie, good to see you. How you doing?
Hey, Dan, I'm doing great. I'm super excited about this. I see a lot of familiar faces that I haven't seen in a really long time. We have a lot of women of distinction, our mentors. We have recruits, we have coaches, we have my Furman fam, my regular fam. You know, it's been really great. So I'm excited.
And I see your staff here online as well. Many of them. Was that mandatory or was that voluntary?
No, I just think they like me, so that's a good thing. I keep them around, and you know, I guess they like me. They really like me. So
Pierre kind of hit his face when you said that.
I know they actually know me well. Stuff like this is awkward, so they're probably on here just to see me squirm a little bit because I have to talk about myself, and it's really weird.
Well, we'll try to make it as unweird as possible. We invite you, as always, to submit questions in the chat feature. You can submit them directly to me privately, or you can send them to Ty Osborne privately, and he will forward them along. And we'll visit with Jackie for about the first 15 or 20 minutes. We'll give her an intermission break, bring Rusha Brown in and talk with her, and to then bring Jackie back to kind of close it out. Jackie, I told you via text this morning, I was kind of surprised, all the stories I've heard about you, to find out that somebody actually outscored you here at Furman.
Oh yeah, I'm the princess. She's the queen. So we honor, all hail the queen, Rusha. She's really put our program on the map. She's a phenomenal ambassador for Furman women's basketball. And so I'm super excited that a lot of folks who haven't met Rusha will have the opportunity to do so today. But she's the queen. 7 years WNBA, just phenomenal ambassador for our program.
Well, we're looking forward to spending some time with her as we go on. Just kind of catch us up on how things have been going, what you've been doing, what you've been able to do since students got back to campus.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a lot of our student athletes on the call. I know they don't have class, so I appreciate them tuning in. We actually have practice at 1:15, so immediately after this call. So we've just been getting into it a little bit more. We didn't have a summer, which is a little bit weird for us, and we didn't actually bring the team back until around August 10th. So we could have brought them back earlier, but we decided just to kind of wait it out, see how we're going to do everything, because there's just so much uncertainty around our program right now. In terms of what we're able to do, testing protocols. It's going to be a weird time, for us this season. So they have been phenomenal. They have really locked in and just been dedicated and know that they kind of roll with the punches. they it's not a typical college atmosphere. You know, we have 8 freshmen, and so the poor things have no clue what college is like right now. They just know that they are playing basketball, taking classes virtually, and staying a little bit in a bubble so that they limit their exposure, so that we can have a basketball season. So I'm super proud of our team, proud of our staff. Appreciate all the support from, you know, my family, the administration, everything like that. So it's been great.
Begs the question, how in the world are you going to manage 8 freshmen?
You know what? This crew's been kind of easy. You know, they're natural leaders. You know, and so you can't tell if somebody walked into our gym right now and didn't know who the freshmen were. I think it'd be really hard for them to be able to pick them out because they have a level of maturity about themselves right now that is very refreshing as a coach. So I won't go grade too much this season, but it's going to definitely be an adjustment just because of the learning curve and the speed of the game. But in terms of attitude and adjustments, they're beyond the curve. So I'm proud of them.
I was going to ask you that question, so maybe you can just kind of expand on it a little bit. The maturity they're showing versus the learning curve coming in to this experience at the collegiate level for the first time.
Yeah, well, this group again, they're special because I mean we have one young lady who won 4 state championships, you know, at her high school. We have others that have played together on AAU teams together. Gosh, the experience they have on the basketball level is just phenomenal. And then you couple that with they are beyond like just extraordinarily Furman students. They tackle their academics extremely well. They're very mature. I mean, we had 2 of our freshmen, honestly, that we never met until August 12th or 13th. So imagine their recruiting. They had to do all their recruiting virtually. And so again, this is a situation that's not ideal, but they've handled it great. And, you know, hats off to our upperclassmen. We try to do as much team bonding as we possibly could do in a virtual space. But it's really funny. They never met each other until August. So it's just, it's an unusual space, but like I said, I think everyone's handling it great.
You mentioned you didn't have them for the summer. This has obviously been a very different experience. And one of the things that you have to do every year, despite how many returning players that you have come back, is each team has to develop its own chemistry and its own identity. Take what we have facing us now with the challenges with COVID-19, add 8 freshmen to that. How difficult is it, has it been, will it be for this team to develop that identity or that chemistry you need inside a locker room?
Well, you know, it's a little weird because I don't think it's that much different because currently they can only be around each other. So the chemistry is almost developing a lot quicker and more organically because their bubble is so small. You know, so anything all of them have a roommate that's on the basketball team. Then they come to practice. It's the only time that they can all be together. So everything is kind of, you know, they're not able to go out and like I said, be really like college students. So hanging out with other groups of people, again, to limit exposure. So they almost have the chemistry is just building organically because of all the restrictions we have with the virus. But the basketball part is coming, you know, so we just started 12 hours last week, which normally would be an 8-hour season. And then we ramp up to 20 hours on mid-October. So again, it's been a welcome surprise. I'm super proud of the entire team for how they're handling it and everything they're doing to make sure that our team is safe. You know, our coaching staff is doing the same thing. And so we're just really pleased with where they're at.
How have you had to change what you do, what your staff does, and in some ways, will it make you better coaches?
I had to change a lot from just last season. We wanted to make sure it was just more, you know, just relationship building, just more organic, just making sure that everybody was good. We've had to change a lot in terms of just making sure our athletes are in a great mental space because it's not all physical during this. It's you know, we hired a mental health professional for our team just to make sure that our athletes are great. Just being healthy from that standpoint. So it's paying more attention to that, not so much as just the basketball. We'll get the basketball part of it. It's just the relationship part, checking in. The girls come in once a week and they check in. We call it the Coach Carson check-in. They have to do that every single time so they can get in front of me. I can put my mama eye on them. So that's probably the biggest thing where we've had, more mature, or not more mature, but we've had more seasoned teams in the past. So I felt like I could just watch them and kind of check in on them from afar. But that's one thing that we had to get better at as a staff, is just making sure to check in with them regularly just to make sure they're okay and taking the basketball part out of it.
We have, as usual, a fan poll question, but we also have a trivia question. So we're going to kind of double dip before we get into some of the questions we have from our fans who are on here. Let's start right now with the trivia question first. And Ty Osborne did some research on this. He found out that Jackie and Rusha share a four-way tie for the most points scored in a game here at Furman. What's that record? And then bonus points if you know who the other two were. And our trivia challenge is presented by our friends at Christopher Trucks. We'll leave this one up and live for a little while, and then we'll get to the other poll question coming up in just a little bit. Without giving it away, Jackie, I'm sure you know the answer to the number of points, but do you know the other two people who are tied with you and Rusha?
I think I do. I know one for sure.
Okay.
That should help some folks.
We'll do that. We'll do that reveal coming up in just a little bit. All right. So the questions, again, you can submit them in the group chat to me privately or to Ty Osborne privately, and then he'll forward them to me. You mentioned in your opening, you used the phrase "women of distinction," and one of the first questions submitted to us is that people have heard you say that, use that phrase a number of times. What does that mean? What does that program entail inside your basketball program?
Well, I'll start from the beginning. If you see anything on social media with us or even a hashtag, our hashtag is Be Distinct. And so it's actually an acronym for our core values in our program. So every single one of our student athletes, if Ty were to unmute them, I'm not going to put you on that position, ladies, don't worry. They could tell you what every single letter distinct means. So D is discipline, I is integrity, S is selflessness, T is transparency or together, just depending on what mood Coach Carson's in. The other I is intensity, I think I said. One I is intensity, one's integrity, N, no excuses, C, commitment, T, trust. So everything that we do in our program, we don't want to look like any other program. We want to stick out for the right reasons. So we want to be distinct in everything that we do, both on and off the court. So everything that surrounds our program is going to be something of distinction. So our Women of Distinction program is our mentoring program that is just absolutely phenomenal. We go out, we try to find the cream of the crop of women in the Greenville community that often share a career in one of the areas that our girls want to have a career in, because being a basketball player, you have such a crazy load. So you probably never had a job. So we have young ladies on our team that want to be lawyers and doctors. So we want to surround them with women and that can help guide them in their future career path. So our Women of Distinction, we have a meeting tonight via Zoom. So it's going to be great to see all of our Women of Distinction. Our girls are going to meet their mentors. For our upperclassmen, they keep the same mentor throughout. They all have two mentors and they keep the same mentors throughout their career, build relationships. It's a network that's phenomenal. And it's just really surrounding our ladies with powerful mentors in the Greenville community and beyond.
Where did the idea to do this come from? I mean, is this something that you were able to benefit from as a player, or did you do this because you didn't have this as a player?
No, our coach, Sherry Carter, I remember going into my senior year, I went for the summer and I lived with Linda Gilliam, who was a former Furman women's basketball player that was in an OBGYN. So I was pre-med at Furman. A lot of people don't realize that. And I went and did an internship and did hours with her because that was set up by our coaching staff. And also my other mentor that was when I was a player, she's actually a current mentor for another one of our girls. So she just, touched my life and was just an influence on my life. And I just wanted our girls to have that same opportunity that my coach awarded to me.
So you've been here 11 years now. Have you seen success stories from this program that you can share with us, one or two maybe?
Oh gosh, I mean, I could I could go on for days, but all of our, for instance, Tiara Hodges is applying for PT schools right now, and she has two mentors that were her letter of recommendations. And so we have Taylor Petty, who's in law school right now, who, Megan Reardon, um, whose family is super connected to our university, was her letter of recommendation. I mean, we could just go on for the experiences. Rhonda Rawlings has given our girls internship opportunities over the summer. So it has provided them with internships. It's provided them with job opportunities. It's just been invaluable. It's been pretty special.
So what I'm hearing is from the college athlete experience, from the college coaching experience, wins and losses are important, yes, but you're here to mold the entire person, mold the entire young lady, and not just the athlete.
Yeah, well, I think anyone who knows me knows. I mean, the wins and losses are great, but those are not going to go on my tombstone. It's not who defines me. It helps me keep my job, so I do appreciate that standpoint. But at the end of the day, it's my job when 18 to 22-year-olds, they use Furman in this education as a means to improve their life and to go on and do great things. And whether that's on the court or off the court, it's my job to mold them and put them in a position to be great. We want phenomenal women in our program. We want them to grow up to be, phenomenal mothers and wives and just whatever their, future occupation is. And I feel very strongly about making sure that they see that in our staff and see that from other women and leaders on our campus. And so that is, we call it life after basketball or labs. So that's something that they're constantly going to get in our program. It's not just about basketball. We want to make sure we recruit and find young women that want to be excellent in everything that they do. So,
as I mentioned, we also have a fan poll that we do regularly, so you get a little bonus with Jackie today. Let's bring the fan poll up, Ty, and there's no question, everybody knows that Jackie is an absolute fashion plate on the bench, right? Prides herself in that. So what is she? What's the reaction? Wow, unmatched, super chic, or all of the above? If this is not a layup,
I wasn't ready for that one.
nothing is. Well, you should have been, because we talk about it all the time. Nobody outdresses you in this conference or any other conference.
Yeah, that's my goal. I'm gonna win something every game. I'm gonna win the shoe game. I might win the dress game, but yeah, it's a little bit of a staple. My mom told me when I got into coaching, she said, and I don't know what it means. She's like, just don't. And she's on the call. She's really the queen bee, but she outdoes me. So she just said, just still be you and don't dress like a coach. And I didn't know what that meant, but it's just something that's me. So I just bring me out to the floor a little bit.
Dress for success, right?
Yes. And I want our girls to show, again, we're going to be distinct. We're going to stick out for the right reasons. So, and I told them there's some of them have had to teach how to walk in stilettos. We got to get ready for that job. We got to get ready for everything. So it's my job to prepare them across the board for everything. So
set the example. That's exactly what you set. It's one thing to say it, but it's another thing to do it, right?
Right.
Whether we're talking about fashion or we're talking about coaching or anything.
That's right. Be a queen and be a mom, be a queen being a wife, be a queen being a career, on the sideline. Everybody's always watching, just always stick out, shoulders back, head held high. So,
I've got two daughters of my own. I love that. I really do. I love that. Thank you for that. Next question says, we love the Carson Chronicles. Will that continue? And then please let that continue.
Yeah, it will continue. Obviously not to the volume that it had during the summer, but I will continue. That kind of took a life of its own that I wasn't ready for. So we will continue the Chronicles on social media.
Good deal. And if people haven't seen that, you need to go and check it out. Which kind of brings me to another question that we've got a form of it submitted here, one I was going to ask anyway. Rob got that promotion just a little while ago, but the comment was made during one of our meetings that he might have gotten promoted at Furman, but he didn't get promoted at home. And the question was that you're such a tough competitor as a player, or were, are you that tough on your players as a coach? And how about with Rob at home?
I probably, I don't know if I'm as tough as that. It would almost be interesting to see how they answer that. I am very competitive. I don't understand lackluster effort. So from that standpoint, you have to give energy and effort, because those are two things you can control, on a daily basis. I felt like I was a kid that played really, really hard. And had a good career for playing really, really hard. So I don't take it well if you don't play hard. All the rest of it, the just building you up as a player, that's our responsibility as a coaching staff. But you providing the energy and the effort on a daily basis, I think that's your job as a player. So that's the only thing I probably don't tolerate as well as when I was a player. And a lot of people don't understand this, but when we go home, Rob and I, we do not talk about Furman. We don't want to talk about work. We separate. We do a great job of separating our lives. So I'm a super proud wife that he got a promotion. I think he's worked extremely hard for it. He loves his job. He's surrounded. He dives into his work. But when we go home, we try to leave anything that's competitive and anything that's Furman, because we are both pretty big competitors. He talks a lot of trash. It makes me mad. And so we just try to leave that part so we can stay married and happy and all that good stuff.
Well, you get, I don't say picked on is the right word, but that competition between you and Rob gets talked about a lot inside the athletic department circles, but you probably made the wise choice in trying to leave all that at the office and not take it home.
Well, we learned that early. I mean, right when we started dating was around the time, it was like a year or two after JMU beat Furman in football playoffs. And it almost ended right then, because he said a comment to, and I was livid and about that game. And so it almost stopped before it even started because of that comment, but we bounced back, and we just realized it's best to keep any type of competitive talk or banter for the health of our marriage. So
well, that's good, because we've got a full boat today with you and Rusha here, and we didn't want to have to bring him on for any rebuttal or anything or any explanation or anything like that. So let's do one more, and then we'll give you a break and bring Rusha on. The next question was, as a player, as a coach, who's your biggest rival?
Oh, that's a great question. As a player, it was definitely Chattanooga, when Wes Moore, who's now at NC State, he had phenomenal teams, and it was always a battle. As a coach, I don't know. I don't want to say I really have a rival. That's the competitive part of me. I try to beat everyone as much as I can. I don't look at it differently. Obviously, I'm good friends with everybody in our league that I would consider more as a rival. So I think that's a weird dynamic as well. But I don't know who it is as a coach. I'm trying to win all of them. Our players have a different one.
The next game on the schedule?
Yes, exactly. I'm trying to win all of them. So everybody's a rival. Whoever's next is a rival.
I got you. All right, as mentioned, we're going to give Jackie a little bit of a break here and welcome in our special guest. She referenced some of Rusha Brown's credentials, but Rusha played here at Furman from 1990 to 1994. The program's all-time leading scorer, 2,169 points, a member of both the Furman and SoCon Halls of Fame. Four-time first-team All-SoCon selection, earned Player of the Year honors in 91-92, and is one of three players, as we mentioned, along with Coach Carson, to have her number retired. She played professionally for 10 years in 5 different countries, including Spain, France, Italy, Greece, and Korea. Also played 7 years in the WNBA for Cleveland and Charlotte. and currently is the Director of Community Relations and Youth Sports for the Los Angeles Sparks in the WNBA. And that's quite the resume. Rusha Brown, welcome to Lunch and Learn here at Furman.
Awesome.
Welcome back. How are you?
Thank you. I'm great. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Did we read that exactly the way you wrote it? Make sure we get all your credentials in there.
You missed a few, but I'll let it slide.
Okay. Wait, looks like you've got a nice little background there. Are you outside, or is that just
I am outside. I took my family on a vacation, so we're driving back from Hilton Head. So I just stopped so I could have time to do this. So I'm sitting at a park bench at a gas station somewhere near Swainsboro, Georgia. Actually, Statesboro. I just saw Statesboro. So I'm out here by Georgia Southern.
Well, we appreciate you spending some time with us and making the effort to do that. But what do you think when you hear Jackie Carson say that she's the princess, but you're the queen when it comes to Furman women's basketball?
You know, I think we've both shared time there and we played our roles. I'm just older, so I think that's her being respectful. But I appreciate Jackie and all that she's done, both on the court and off, and just the legacy she's building now at Furman, and the fact that we came from the same tree under Sherry Carter. Like, listening to her speak, everything she said makes sense, because that's how we were, you know, that's the cloth that we're cut from. So I'm really excited about her opportunity there at Furman and what she's going to have an opportunity to do.
We'll remind you again, you can submit questions for Rusha in the same fashion during the chat or through the chat feature, either to myself or Ty Osborne privately. How have you seen the women's game grow from your time as a player at Furman to where you are now? I would imagine you have to be very happy with where it's gone, but figuring there's still a long way to go. I'll let you answer that instead of me trying to answer it for you.
No, I definitely understand that there has been progression with the level of talent that comes to Furman now. It's just incredible. We've always had women that have played hard, that were committed to whatever goals Coach Carter laid before us and our own personal goals. But I see, you know, Jackie's getting some athletes that are incredible athletes that are, you know, doing great things both on and off the court. So I think the tradition is just building and growing. So I'm excited for what it looks like and just having an opportunity to stay connected.
What about the women's game overall and that progression since you were a player?
Yeah, no, more athleticism. And the fact that I continue to work around, you know, the top women that play this game in the world, I just am amazed at how they can keep it together and how they are so capable of developing, and as not just physically, but basketball IQ and just the way the game is being played. I love this game, and I'm so excited to be a part of it and help to continue to grow it, you know, for my 8-year-old daughter who's coming up behind us.
More athleticism, I can see that. More competitiveness, I can see that. Would you say more respect?
No, I would not. I think there are a lot more opportunities now that players have. And I think during the time that when we played, it was more like, okay, whatever, coach. Yes, coach. But I think players today are, because, and it's something that's not a negative, but there are more questions. They challenge more the thought process because they want to be a part of how things are discussed, how things are, how decisions are made. And it'll pay off for them when they actually get out into the real world, and just because you have to be able to use your voice. So as long as they're doing it in a respectful way, I'm good with it. But I definitely feel like the era that we came from, it was a shut up and play type of thing. Just get your work done because everybody had something to do. So as far as the respect, I definitely feel like the older crew may have had a different level of respect.
What about respect overall for the women's game now? Do you feel like it gets the respect it deserves from people outside the game?
No. I mean, I think one of the things that I've experienced, not just personally, but as a women's basketball player and ambassador for the game, is that a lot of people still think women should not be playing at this high level. Women should not be playing. And so they put us in a position where, you know, they're saying, oh, get in the kitchen, or saying the most ridiculous things as if we aren't made to compete. And I have like a couple of videos saved on my Twitter of WNBA players killing guys at gyms because they're talking smack. And the thing that I found is that men that play sports and have played at a high level respect the women because they know what it looks like. They know what it is. They know how hard you have to work. But it's always the guy that couldn't even make his JV team that has something slick to say about the players and wants to challenge. So the level of respect, I don't think, is there for the women because there's so much that goes into it and the sacrifices that are necessary in order to compete at the highest level, both collegiately and professionally. But fortunately enough for us, we don't wait for their approval nor their validation because we understand our worth and our value, and we continue to work hard.
I saw Jackie smiling, and I swear she threw an amen up there as you were talking there at the end.
I mean, it is what it is. I think we all experience it. So it's really about just understanding our own worth because if we wait for other people to validate us, we'll never get what we need.
Rusha, a question submitted for you wants to know what countries around the world are the most competitive with the U.S. in women's basketball?
You know, the times have changed since I played. I have been retired for quite a while now, but I know in this last few years when my players were coming back from playing internationally, it was Russia, Turkey, and China.
Okay. And those countries have grown in their abilities over the years?
You know, grown in their financial abilities to get the best players there. Yeah. Is what I'll say. So it's not necessarily their homegrown talent, but their bank accounts that allow them to bring over the top players.
Funny how that works, isn't it?
Cash moves everything around you.
Rusha Brown is our special guest in our Jackie Carson featured Lunch and Learn here on this Tuesday. And again, next week, Dakota Dozier, former offensive lineman and current starting guard for the Minnesota Vikings, will be our special guest. Tell me about your current position with the Los Angeles Sparks, the Director of Community Relations and Youth Sports. What does that position entail? What do you get to do?
You know, it's such a funny thing because all of the things, after retiring from basketball, I chose to only do the things that I love. Like I didn't have a job after retiring until 2018. I worked for myself because I had spent so much time away from my family. I wanted to only do things I loved, and it really pertained to the community, helping develop young girls and women. It pertained to growing the game of basketball, and it pertained to just building businesses for my family. And fortunately enough, now I have a job with LA that pays me to do all the things that I used to do for free. So as director of community relations, I build relationships with the nonprofit organizations in the LA area, and we build programming to help develop girls, women. We were just able to put together a social justice pillar where we're working on, leading the charge and standing up for what's right in our nation. We have women and girls empowerment. We have youth sports, which I organize the camps and clinics and make sure that the young ladies and gentlemen that we work with get what they need both on and off the court. We service our military and veterans and our first responders. So it really is an opportunity for me to say thank you to everyone in the community and provide opportunities for our players to use their platform to make sure that everyone is appreciated and that they get what they need.
How has the WNBA changed from the time you were a player to your current role now? How the league itself changed?
It's becoming more of the players' league initially because I came in on the front end when the league was still being, first being developed. It was about building something. So everybody sacrificed. Everybody was just there to see how we could grow the product. And now there are opportunities for the players to build their own brands individually. There is a move by the new chairman, Kathy Engelbert, to come in and make sure that we are representing the players. I think the amount of publicity is now moving up. And I think social media really has put a new spin on things because you can use Twitter and Facebook and Instagram to market yourself as well as the league. So I think there is more of, there are more eyes on the product. So that gives everybody an opportunity to grow.
Submitted question for you, Rusha. What's your favorite memory about your time at Furman?
I have so many. I was telling the story just the other day. It's not my favorite, but it's one of my most distinct. I will use Jackie's word. I cannot swim still to this day. And just the last weekend, I took my daughter out to this water park and I almost drowned myself. But the first time I almost drowned myself was at Coach Carter's house. And I am super competitive. And one of my teammates, Meredith Levesque, was a great swimmer. She's jumping off the diving board. And I was like, I can do that. And Coach Carter's like, Risha, you can't swim. Don't do that. I was like, no, for real. I think I can do it. If I jump far enough, I can float to the other end and then I can get out of the pool. And as soon as I jumped up, I realized what I was doing and I hit the bottom of the pool and had to push myself up. And I was like, help, somebody come get me. And they had to come in and save me. And Coach Carter was a wreck. She called my mom. She was irate. But that's just funny because it was funny, Coach Carter's reaction, not the fact that I almost drowned myself, but that's one of the conversations we have all the time. She was like, you're crazy as a bed bug. I can't believe you did that. And I was like, no. When I got out, I was like, I think I could do it. I did it wrong this time. Let me try again. And she locked me in the house, so I couldn't come out of the house for the rest of the day. But I've had so many incredible memories at Furman with relationships that I've built with my teammates, the staff that was there, and just people in the Greenville area.
You know, we tend to hear it more often brought up in terms of men's sports when somebody retires from Major League Baseball or the NFL and they've been out of it for a while and they're asked about the memories. The games come and go and the games fade, but the thing that they seem to most focus on were the relationships they built
Absolutely.
during their time. And I sense the same thing there. I mean, who else tells a story about almost drowning as one of their favorite memories?
It was, and everybody literally was going to jump in there and try and get me. And Coach Carter was like, no, what is she, because I could have drowned everybody, but it was just, we were such a close-knit team and we laugh at those stories still. So I'm not bashful at all. So yeah, I've made tons of mistakes. That was one of them, jumping in that pool. But Furman was exactly what I needed while I was there. And the relationships, as I mentioned, were a part of how I was able to develop into who I am today.
To be the caliber of player you were, you had to have some tremendous coaching, I would think, before you got to Furman. I mean, you're here 4 years, you're 4 years first team all SoCon, leave as the all-time leading scorer. That doesn't happen by accident. Who molded you into the player you were when you got to Furman?
It's funny. I had my high school coach, Teresa Kendall, was really, really tough on me because I didn't start playing until I was in the 10th grade. So I just played a lot. And so I had a number of coaches that poured into me in different ways. So Coach Kendall at Somerville High School, I played for Byron Rucker, my AAU seasons, and he was a different breed. Like, they were both very different personalities. So they taught me how to adjust to different coaching styles. When I got to Coach Carter, she was trying to encourage me to just use my athleticism. And then, it was just being challenged by my teammates. Like, I'm a sponge. And when I was playing this game, I just wanted to learn from everybody. So anybody who was playing, I took time to get on the court with them. I wanted to learn how to get better, how to do different things. And I just think I'm really like a melting pot of talent based on the people that I was around.
Given the respect that you command because of not only who you are as a player, but who you are as a person, which is obviously much more important. What kind of resource have you been able to be for current players here at Furman or players who've come along after you? Do you still interact with the program and offer yourself up as a mentor? Do players reach out to you?
I've spoken to the team a few times for Jackie, and whenever I can be around, I try and do that. And I speak now that I'm always available because I really believe, like, Jackie has the perfect mindset as to what it takes to help develop these young ladies. They need to see women doing incredible things, and visibility is very important. They have to have eyes on somebody who's doing the things that they want to do. So I definitely I put myself in a position to be accessible on every level. So I'm definitely around.
That's great. Ty, can we bring up the final response to the trivia question
Because I don't know those answers. I can't wait to hear.
Do you know what's the most points you scored in a game at Furman?
Nope.
Well, according to Ty in his research, the school record for points in a game is 37.
37.
Okay. Okay.
And two of the four people who hold that record are Jackie Carson and Rusha Brown. So 43% of our responders got that correct. The most popular guess was 35. Now, Jackie, you said you thought you knew who at least one of the other two are. Do you want to go out on a limb and take a guess?
You know, it's funny. I know Pierre knows both of them because he is my statistician, but I want to say, I could be wrong. I want to say one's either Leger or Sierra Carter. I don't know if that's one of them. They were very close. I don't know if they got to 37 because I teased them about it.
How about Nancy Glass?
Nancy Glass is one.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. Okay.
Good job, Rusha.
And she did it in 1987.
That's awesome.
You got to go back to 1979 for the other one, the first one. Lynn Looney.
I did not know.
Okay.
Great to know.
So there you go.
Wow.
Jackie, anything you want to say about Rusha before we let her go?
No, I'm just super happy that a lot of Furman fans, they see her banner, they see her name. Our team definitely knows about her, so I'm glad that a lot of the girls who are on the call know about what I truly think is the most special player to ever come out of our program. And it's crazy you asked that question, Dan, because we had an alum call yesterday. And one of the things that we're going to initiate is matching our players up with an alum so that they have just that, you know, they can build that sisterhood that we have. And so Rusha was on that call. So I'm excited about matching her up with, you know, our girls and just continuing the conversation. And I just really thankful for everything that she's done for our program.
Well, Rusha, we really appreciate your time and appreciate you pausing your vacation and stopping at a roadside park to spend some quality time with us. You definitely have the best atmosphere of anybody.
You
on
like this?
It's
gorgeous. Nice, right? It is.
But
thank you guys so much for having me and giving me an opportunity to share. And Jackie, thank you for the work that you're doing to help continue to build the program and your legacy and the legacy of these young ladies. We are grateful. I know we talked about what year do our daughters go to school? Is it 20?
Yeah, we're already locking down.
Yeah, we've already discussed that we're going to unretire our numbers so our daughters can play at Furman.
I like it. I like it. Rusha, thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Y'all have a great evening.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, Jackie, you're back on the hot seat now in our final 10, 15 minutes or so. And, you know, Rusha mentioned something about social justice in the work she's doing now with the LA Sparks. And one of the questions that's been submitted to us is that you have been rather outspoken and perhaps a leader in the department on social justice. What are your thoughts on our current state of affairs, and can you remark on how Furman is continuing the action and conversation?
No, yeah, it's pretty funny. I did an interview. I had a Furman student asked to interview me last week, and it was a phenomenal. He's doing a documentary about things that are happening on campus, and he brought something to my attention that I didn't really realize. And so we had a great interview, and in the middle of the interview, he's like, "You probably don't remember this, but 2 or 3 years ago, I asked you for an interview on something very similar, and you declined because you didn't feel comfortable talking about it in front of folks." And that's probably the biggest thing is, you know, I feel like a lot of things have happened, and, you know, and I feel like Furman has done a phenomenal job addressing any issues, and I look forward to putting all these issues to action. But I really feel like I found my voice, and I wasn't scared to talk about what I feel are my truths. And I'm making sure that our girls are comfortable, and, you know, because we do have a team where over half of our team are minorities. And so I want them to see that it's okay to use your voice for whatever you feel that your truth is. And I'm excited about everything that's to come, you know, that the university is putting forth. I'm also on the Southern Conference's Diversity and Inclusion Committee. So some things that are coming from a conference level and a university level, I'm super pleased about. But yeah, I guess I found my voice and wasn't scared to use it, and I'll continue to, you know, speak out on what I think is right for, you know, for me. And I think the hardest thing that I had to do this summer was tell my my 9-year-old asked me, Mommy, what's racism? And so that was the toughest conversation. And, having to have a conversation with Rob as we travel to the beach, and God forbid, what happens if we get pulled over on the way to the beach, and all the things that we have to talk about, so it's been some really, really tough conversations. It's stirred up a lot of tough feelings. And I just wanted to make sure that I was vocal. So if our student athletes, any of our student athletes here at Furman or student athletes on our team felt like they wanted to be able to talk about it, that they felt like that was okay. So
when you have a diverse group of athletes inside any locker room, when subjects like politics and other things come up, I mean, everybody agrees that racial injustice is wrong. So I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about some of the other issues that's going on in this country now. You're going to have different opinions inside that locker room. How have you been able to manage that within your team, that it's okay to have different opinions? You still have to respect one another, and you can still love one another if you don't agree on certain things. Because I've been a proponent that if our country could be like sports locker rooms, we'd be in a lot better shape.
It's funny, Dan, I can't remember who I was talking about, but I had a tweet a couple weeks ago that everybody's like, keep politics out of sports. But if you put politics like how sports are, with, like you said, a locker room and just everybody coming together for a common goal, I think everything would be a lot better. Our girls do have different opinions. They have different backgrounds. They have different, obviously we have different races and ethnicities in our locker room, but I think any quality of a good leader is the first thing that I did was I listened. I opened up the Zoom call for them, and right after everything happened with George Floyd, and I said, are you guys okay? And I'm here to listen, and what do you want to do? And so I let them decide what they feel comfortable doing. And to me, one of the best things, I'm like the coaching mom. So one of the best things is I'll never forget it. We had, our conversation as a team, and then we logged off. And I think a day later, I get a text from one of our freshmen. She said, Coach, we're making a video, and this is what it's going to be like, and we're going to put it out on social media. And I was like, phenomenal. One, to get that text from a freshman, and two, for them to initiate a video that says their own thoughts and feelings about, something they feel passionate about. I just wanted to make sure that they knew they were supported. And then it was great because we had such dialogue between our white team members and our Black team members about, well, how can I be better? What can I do to serve? And, it was really intense, and it was powerful dialogue. And I think that's all you can do. You still may have a difference of opinion, but at the end of the day, it's about respect. One of our core values is being together. And I think we've never been more together because of, issues like this.
It's interesting. I think in a perfect world, which we know we don't live in, but in a perfect world, the vast majority of us look at sports as a release and a way to get away from a lot of that. And when it comes to being a fan, and I host a podcast, and we try to stay away from politics and focus mostly, almost 100% on sports. But it did come up in our last episode, and one of the folks on the podcast just made that point, keep politics out of sports. And I said, again, in a perfect world, you do that, but you can't always do that. If you keep politics out of sports 100%, we don't have Jackie Robinson. And look what an impact he had, and what he had to go through, and the changes he made. So I think the point is there's a time and place for it if it's done the right way.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I just think it sometimes makes folks uncomfortable because we have a breast cancer game and nobody says keep cancer out of sports. We have games with domestic violence. We don't say keep those things out of sports. So racial injustice, it just makes some folks uncomfortable, so keep it out. It's making me uncomfortable. But at the same time, it's really hard to tell someone, like myself, to keep racial injustice out of sports. At the end of the day, I'm a Black female in sports. So I can't keep something out that I can't separate myself, so sometimes I have to use my own platform and sometimes as a coach to be able to speak out on things that are passionate and affect me personally, because that's the same thing that we do when, unfortunately, cancer might strike someone, or, some type of other issue might strike someone. We don't say keep those things out of sports, but we all have a compassion for, cancer and how we can do better. We all have a compassion for, and we show empathy for folks that are other causes that we bring into sports. It's not the same makeup, but it doesn't mean that we need to keep those things out of sports.
Very well said. Submitted question, Jackie. Who was your favorite professor and what was your favorite course at Furman?
Gosh, I had a couple memorable professors. I can name three off the top of my head. So Dr. Patrick was my advisor, and he was just real low key. I was an HSC advisor. It was HES, so HSC now. And I just liked him. Cy Pierman, who's no longer here, he was one of my faves. I just always loved his classes. And then Dr. Brewer in psychology, I swear that's the hardest class I've ever taken in my entire life. I don't think I did well in it. It was pass fail, but it was crazy because he was just a phenomenal human being. And so I would go to him and I just be like, Dr. Brewer, I have not a idea what you're talking about. And I don't think, I was thinking he didn't know anything about me. And he looked at me and he's like, well, before we got to that, you missed too many free throws and such in the fourth quarter. And you totally have to do this. And I was like, wow, like I had no idea that this man even knew what I was doing or paid attention. He's like, well, don't miss these free throws and you got to get back on defense and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay. And now about psychology. But so those are the three I remember the most, but I had an awesome experience at Furman. There's other professors that I can name and I'm just really grateful.
Sounds like he was using reverse psychology on you.
He was, and I didn't probably get that either because I didn't get any. That was the hardest class I've ever taken. I've never seen so many multiple choice options in my life.
And none of them were all the above, right?
No, it was like when you have double letters, that shouldn't be multiple choice anymore. So if you go A through Z and then you go A and B and C, that doesn't even make sense. That should not be allowed.
Speaking of all of the above, Ty, can we see the other poll results? I'll be shocked. Shocked, he said. Jackie Carson's fashion on the bench is, we actually had some folks who did not say all of the above. They went for individual accolades.
I'm okay with that.
Wow, unmatched, super chic, all of the above. So there you go. 91 folks, 83%. Took the easy way out, the one you did not get in that psychology class.
Yes, exactly. And I feel like I have to like dress up my mask game because it seems like that's the direction we're going to. So it's going to not only be shoes and fashion, but what designer mask I can bring to the game. So. Never stops, does it? No, I got my bedazzled one right here, so I'll be ready.
Oh, cool. I like it. They used to sell a bedazzler thing on television, as seen on TV thing. Is that where you got that?
No,
do it yourself?
I bought that one, but my girls wanted a bedazzle. So it's still around. They had one at one point.
Nice. As we get ready to wrap it up, Jackie, and I think this is a question that we can ask of every coach when we have you on here. But this submitted question says, what can we as fans do to help support your program in a better way?
I'm so grateful. I mean, just looking at this call right now, we have recruits, we have my family, women of distinction, donors, we have alums, I have past players. I just want you to continue to support our girls in whatever way you can. I would be silly if I said we didn't need it financially, because I want to give them the best possible experience. And sometimes the only way to do that, or the best way to do that is financially, especially in these difficult times. But I think our fans are phenomenal, and it's going to look a little bit different this year from the standpoint, like we really enjoy going into the stands after games and connecting with our fans, and appreciate you guys coming to our games and seeing us. And with women, we understand it's about relationship building. So we welcome any way that we can form a relationship with our fans, with our students. I love seeing the team that we always have in the stands during our game as a football team. They're phenomenal. So any way that we can continue to build a relationship with our fans and our alums and just anyone who supports our program, we want to do that. And I think all the support will come genuinely from whatever you're able to do. So we're thankful. We would love to see it increase, continue to bring, if we're able to have fans, bring a fan with you. And just reach out to us. We love to interact with the community. We love to interact with our Furman family and and we love to keep it building. So thank you so much.
I think the one question that's burning on the minds of everybody inside the athletic department, final question for you. When circumstances allow to get back to it, following your injury a couple of years ago, will there be a noon ball comeback?
Oh, you know what? Yeah, it's just going to be a different style of play. I'm like itching to play, but I tore my Achilles driving, so I think I'm more of just a set shooter at this point. I run like 3-point line to 3-point line. I don't know if you want me on your team because I don't know if I'm going to play defense. I'm literally just going to shoot. So
Can you still score? Can you still score?
Oh, absolutely. Oh,
Okay.
before I went down, I had like 40, so we can't get it twisted, Dan. I still have every once in a while I have to show them, and my freshmen haven't seen it yet, so we can't disclose too much.
Okay, well, that lesson will come, I'm sure.
Yes, it's coming. Absolutely.
Jackie, thank you so much. It's always great to talk with you. It's been fun. It's been revealing, and I can't wait to see your team in action again. I'm one of the lucky ones. I get to see you practice quite a bit as we're preparing for the men's broadcast, so I get to see a little bit of that intensity that you were talking about a little while ago, but I'm looking forward to seeing you back on the court.
Yeah, thanks so much, Dan, and thank you to everyone for logging in, and thank you to our administration, everybody, for all the support, and we appreciate it. So thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Jackie Carson. Thank you, Rusha Brown. That's going to wrap up this edition of Lunch and Learn. Don't forget, next week, former Paladin offensive lineman and current Minnesota Vikings starting left guard Dakota Dozier will be with us, and our special guest inside Dakota's interview will be his teammate and our sideline reporter for the football broadcast, Marcus McMorris. For Jackie and Rusha, Ty Osborne, who continues to set it up, and all of us here at Furman Athletics, I'm Dan Scott, thanking you again for joining us and saying God bless you and so long, everybody.